Good morning and welcome. You are with Skeinz Diaries. It's Maree here, episode 327. Welcome along. Yeah, this lovely Thursday. Still a little bit chilly. Busted out the Rambler this morning. I know, I haven't worn the Rambler for a while. Some of you may remember the world famous Rambler from the Quarantine Diaries from back in the day. And it's so funny, I keep forgetting about it. I haven't actually, it needs a little bit of a deep pull. I just threw it on this morning. I dived into the wool. I've got a drawer with woolies, and I thought, I haven't dived into the woolies drawer for a while. And this is the first thing that I saw. And I thought, oh, morning, Margaret. Oh, I know. And I just suddenly thought, oh, yes. It's a Rambler kind of day. It is a Rambler kind of day. It's still got a little bit of a chill, but you know why I love the Rambler? And you may remember, so Rambler sweater, I think it was Marcella Chang that designed it. And it was I think done for a DK, but I did my classic sport weight 3.75 millimeter 24 stitch tension track, which then of course is just a slight difference. So I just, watched my sizing. I knew that I was going to be just slightly smaller than normal. And of course the reason I did it is I had this Noro here, which is what's in the center here, single ball of Noro Silk Garden, and which came from the thing I showed you on Monday behind us here. I had a single ball of it, and in fact it was probably was single ball. And I was like, oh, I just love those colors. And then I built the colors, the contrast colors around that single ball. So this was, I think, Bandit. I can't even remember the name of this color. Anyway, the gold. This was a Cove, and then used the charcoal base. And there you go, and just did little matchy cuffs. And of course it was a sweater. And because it was lockdown and I had all the charcoal, I just had a bag of charcoal. I didn't know how much it would take. And then we got to the end, and of course we were still in lockdown. So I decided instead of a sweater, I just kept going and I turned it into a tunic. So there you go. Because I can. So I did. Put some shaping and turned it into a tunic. Maureen's saying, my Rambler is in a bag waiting for me to start it in Polworth. I've done one for a friend in Cove. Yeah, it's actually a great pattern. It's one I'd certainly knit again, I have to say. And I just couldn't believe that I hadn't worn it. I thought, I need to drag that out this morning. It feels good. It feels good to have it back on. So that's been nice. It's been such a nice thing to do. I've got a newsletter that'll probably be going out in about an hour or so. I scheduled it this morning because Claire's asked me to do it because this arrived yesterday. She's been madly putting it. I know, the dreaded sound of cellophane. We have been, I'm just going to pluck these out just to give you an idea. We've had so many people in, and with things being a bit cooler, sometimes that she's diving into the box next to her, it's just easier if you toasty toes and fingers and the like. Sometimes it's just easier to buy it, to let the credit card do the working. So we've gotten hold of the lovely Lothlorian, and now look, we don't carry a massive Lothlorian range. These guys are amazing, New Zealand made, New Zealand grown, of course, possum merino, but we've just got in the basics. Oh, look at this! Stop it! Doesn't that look good? Woof! So we've just gotten in gloves, standard gloves. These gloves are brilliant. In fact, my husband bought a set of these, God, nearly 20 years ago, and he's still threshing them. Classic ribbed possum merino socks. If you've been on the website and had a look at our Lothlorian page, it's been deeply tragic for some time now. We got absolutely mauled at Christmas time, and we just hadn't had a chance to stock up properly. So we've done that, and fingerless gloves is the other thing that Claire's gotten back in, which I'm not going to do because they're at the bottom of the box. But all these new arrivals have arrived. So look at that. Oh, doesn't that look fabulous? So socks and gloves there. I just grabbed these because these are the natural. I love. I mean, look, fabulous. There's jade, there's blue, there's rich red, gorgeous. all gorgeous. So that is, she has literally just walked out of the office now to go back down for packing. And she's just got all of these loaded up. So they are on the website. So if you're wanting to, if you're sort of thinking to yourself, oh, I really can't be asked knitting my own socks or especially gloves, there you go. Let the Lothlorian do the talking and grab some of those. So we've got a range of sizes both in socks and I think in the gloves as well. If you go to shop by brand, and you'll see we have got a full Lothlorian page there. So go and check it out. Hey, Sabrina, you're saying, Morena Maree, recently when you were talking with Ethan, you mentioned using Southland socks. Yes, I did, as it will felt in the wear areas. I'm interested in trying this. Could you briefly explain this further? Don't want to use the yarn, which will wear through in 3 wears. Right. Yes, we did do some socks. We actually trialed this several years ago before we moved here, actually. And we got a set of socks. We did 2 sets of socks, actually. We did a set of socks done in sport weight yarn, and we did a set of socks done in DK weight yarn, because our Damien, you'll remember our Damien, who was our warehouse guy here for ages, he liked the Norsewear, the old style, what I call farmy socks that used to be able to get, and he wanted a Southland version of those. So we knit those up. So in the sport weight, we did them, I think they were done on a 2.75 millimeter needle, and the DKs were knitted up on a 3.5 millimeter needle. And he wore them, and he wore them, and he wore them, and he wore them, and he wore them. The DK ones obviously did better because they're thicker, but what ended up happening with them is they just created like this sort of, almost they became a little bit like a slipper. So the bottom became felted like a slipper, and the top sort of kept like a normal sort of sock. So yeah, and he probably got, gosh, I know he wore them for weeks, and he wore them every day, work day, 5 days a week for weeks and weeks and weeks before it needed a little bit of a repair. And then I think we ended up doing, you got a small hole in one, and we just did a little quick repair and over that on the felted part, and then he just started wearing them again. So yeah, the trick is though is you do need to do quite a firm gauge. So because it's the gauge as well as the felting, it's the gauge that holds them together. So if you can actually even knit 2.5 or 2.75 for the Southland, for the sport, that will give you a really firm, really firm gauge, and it should give you a nice toasty sock, because the yarn itself is a really strong yarn. I mean, the nylon in there with the finer weight yarns is there for strength, but the thing is when you've got a fibre that's already strong, it doesn't necessarily need it. And if you're holding it in together with a really firm gauge, so yeah, definitely worth a go. I mean, we did it for ages. Then we did it as a trial because we thought we might get socks made, and it was a round to it plan. We just, other things happened. In fact, we moved here. That was and we just never got around to it. But we watch the space. We might. Lots of these ideas are beginning to bubble up again from back in the day. Great question, though, Sabrina. Thank you for that. So that's what we've just been chucking it along, really. So as I said, those Lothlorians are there. Maureen's asking, do you have the children's sizes and socks? Good question, actually. I'll just have a quick look, because we did have Claire move some other stock around. I'm just updating the page. So we've got all of those there. Let's have a quick look. There's the odd thing that we are out of stock of, because Lothlorian we're out of stock of, but we're just pulling things up now. Yeah, we do. We've got, if you jump onto the website, we've got small, medium, large, and the striped socks. So there are some children's striped socks there. Yeah, I don't think we've got a huge number, but there are definitely some listed on the website. Right, and so one of the things I did this morning, funnily enough, as I was looking at the Lothlorian, I like to do a couple of times a week, a little what I call RAV check, just to see how things are going, And I noticed that the traveller hat, Angela Maree's put out the traveller hat, but I flagged this ages ago and I didn't do anything with it. And I'm going to put it on the screen to show you because we didn't have the yarn at the time. And we now have the yarn. So it is this. The Traveller Shawl from Angela Maree. And the reason I wanted to highlight this was, there we go. I mean, that just screams Pulse. Absolutely screams Pulse. Now, she created this shawl because she wanted a shawl that she could use for homespun yarns. There you go. That's a really good image. She wanted a shawl that would work for homespun yarns. So she did two sort of designs with it. But to me, this, I mean, it's, as you can see, it's just a really simple sort of floating sort of pattern, just using a mixture of stockinette stitch and reverse stockinette stitch going backwards and forwards. I call bind off. I mean, it's a really simple idea. But this to me screams Pulse all day long. And I do like the fact that it's this, where am I? There. It's that sort of slightly modular construction, because the neat thing about that modular construction is it makes it sort of quite easy to wear. So I was like, so I was quite intrigued by that. So I'm actually going to stick that on the list and potentially do something with it. I just thought, if you're looking for something with pulse and you're not wanting to do a garment, but you want to do something with a bit of substance, I had that other shawl that we've done, the fabulous sample of, the Serenade, but this I think is also another really good option. But the other neat thing about this too is if you've got a whole bunch of unicorn skeins like I had with the Noro, you could actually play around. Now she's saying here 5-ply and sport, but what I look at, and the reason she says this is because, of course, she is donkey deep with the spin cycle crew, and so she's wanting to do that so you can use the dyed in the wool. Is it dyed in the wool that's the final one? So that's, I think, part of the reason why she calls it sport and 5-ply. But the reality of it is that the DK Pulse will work fabulously because it's 16 stitch tension on a 4.5mm needle. So, I mean, that's just pulse all day long. And I mean, it's short, so it doesn't have to be, the tension doesn't have to be perfect. But, and she does say in here that to have fun with what you're doing, and she picked different braids, it doesn't have to be a perfect sort of match. I think it's around the colour and the construction, the easy oziness, and having this sort of shawl type garment that you could actually play around with. So, yeah, I completely forgot that I'd clocked that in December, and then because of course we knew Pulse wasn't coming in until later this year, so early in the year. So if you're looking for something for Pulse, I think that's an absolute sitter, a really good sitter for Pulse. The other one that I saw, and I'm actually just going to hold it up because I bought it and I printed it out, was a new one from Petite Knit called the Maggie cardigan. And I mean, I have to admit, bless her little heart, she is the queen of just doing what I call simple coordinates and basics. I mean, look, it's just a basic short sleeve crew neck button up cardigan. Not that I'm necessarily going to do this short sleeved, but what I do quite like is I do quite like the sort of move for the balloon sleeve with the hair. Now, as I was saying to someone the other day who was looking at this as well, you can do this as a short sleeve, but if you wanted to extend that to just do like a sort of straight tube, halve it for your ribbing, boom, balloon sleeve done, just like that, easy. I grabbed this because, again, 23 stitch tension to 32 rows. She's knitted on 3.5mm needle. To me, this sits sport weight Southlander all day long. But for some people, if they wanted to wear that next to the skin, Eros is why I did this as well. I've been looking for a pattern to do in Eros, and of course, as you know, I have just an absolute obsession with Southlander and Highlander heathers and all those our more classic rustic yarns. And as you can see, I do have a thermal on under here, but I wear this next to the skin and no drama whatsoever. But I love it. I just sort of thought, well, and just going through the pattern, there's nothing in here that's what I would. She did say it was for an intermediate knitting, I think I saw somewhere, but I didn't see anything in here that was I would have termed as particularly egregiously difficult. If you've not worked in the round, which is fine because it's a cardigan, so you're going to go backwards and forwards, and the only bit in the round she mentioned was either magic loop or DPN on the sleeves. And I have to admit, short little DPNs, if you're just going to do a straight sleeve down, it's quite straightforward. So yeah, I did actually buy this because I'm thinking, but so I'm still tossing up because I haven't, because this is the other sport weight project that so these are the two that I'm sitting on, sweater or Maggie cardigan, and I can't quite decide which way I'm going to go next. So in the meantime, I'm knitting this vest because Claire said, can you please knit this vest that's come in? We've got the pattern in from the Australian Yarn Company. And I can't even tell you the name of the vest now. The memory's gone. I showed it to you the other day. But I am going to show you this because I'm just in the ribbing, which isn't actually much further along than shocker, what I showed you the other day. And the reason for that is that, as you can see by the board here, I had to rip it all out and start again, didn't I? So while I was away, I think I told you I did 3 whole rows while I was away. I got home, I went to go and do some more, and of course, there's this little nifty twisted stitch here. It's like a little traveling stitch that goes this way and this way and this way and this way. Not difficult, but it is difficult if you don't read the instructions properly and you knit into the back of the stitch with your needle in the front and not in the back like it's supposed to be. And then you do another sort of half dozen rows and you realise that you've been a dick and you've done that and it looks like shite. So I had to... and I sort of thought, oh, should I just rip back to where I got it wrong? And then in the end, it was just kind of like, you know what? By the time I fart ass around and try and pick all the stitches up and get the things twisting in the right direction, I just ripped the whole thing out and started again. So actually from a distance, it looks quite good. Up close, I look at it and I think, ew. But at a distance, you can actually see the zigzag. See the little zigzags? There you go. So I've got about there to do, and then I'm into plain sailing. But I'm loving this. I'm loving this. So this is the Oban, which is the latest Highlander heather, and it's like so think oatmeal, but it's pink oatmeal, basically light dusty pink oatmeal. This is what this is, and I love it. I love it. It's really cool, which is why, of course, I sort of see things. I mean, yeah, I love it, which is when I look at this, which is why I think I might end up going Maggie with Eros and then might actually jump in. I was going to originally do this in Eros, but I'm actually now earing back towards this because I look at this and I think, ooh, this with Glencoe would be the frickin' duck's nuts. Because, you know, I've got so much time to knit. So much time. But anyway, so that's what so with any luck over the next few days, I'll actually start getting into that and getting that going. So that's that. Then yesterday, I was in the shop yesterday, unexpectedly, and after showing you my little cluster of stuff over here, one of the things that I had was, I think I might have shown you this, was the possum, which I'd knit a hat for my husband in this years ago. And I had 2 skeins of that. And I thought, so this is both skeins that I've just put onto a jumbo ball. And that's as far as I got. But I suddenly thought, I had a little brainwave actually, because he thrashes that hat. He loves it. And I thought, actually, there's just enough here to whip him up a quick little cowl to throw over with his hat for when he has his jacket on, which is actually quite, is a good idea. And I've got the 2x2, the rib B, which many of you have already got as a freebie. I've actually had a little bit of a brainwave of what I might do for another. It's like a rib B adjacent cowl. And I just suddenly thought, I'll do that. And I'm going to whip it up on this, which 5mm needle and this rando out of my stash. But this would work. I'm doing it on this because it will work in Soho with the possum if you wanted to have a little bit of possum love, bit of possum loving. So I'm going to do that. And I'm going to see how that looks. And if I'm happy with how that looks, like I'll do this one. And if I'm happy with that, I might quickly whip up one in Soho and see what that looks like. And then I'll let you know. And I'll throw that out. Because that I can write up super easy. Because I know exactly what it is. And it's yeah. So I'm going to do that. So with all that time that I have, So that's the thought there. I actually quite like having all of the smaller stuff. And then, of course, I've still got that, which I showed you, which is the purse knitting. And look how pretty that looks. Doesn't that look pretty? It looks so pretty. Yeah, and that's just the rando single roving 400 plus odd meters, which is perfect for Iniata, which lives in the purse. I know, lots of little things. And then, of course, scrappy blanket, which is always on the go. And I've actually done about a scrappy blanket in the round, all the way around. So that's actually been having a bit of love. And I've put it down again now because I've got all these 3 little lovelies on the go. So one sort of garment-ish, a couple of accessories. And then once I get that vest out of my system for work, it'll be quite nice to dive into one of those others. But then I look at this traveller shawl and I get distracted. I know. I'm sure everyone else is like this. Distraction, right? You just want to think, ooh. And I traditionally am not somebody that has lots of things cast on the go at any given time. I have to say, I'm not that person. Once I get beyond, scrappy blanket doesn't count, by the way. But 3 is sort of the maximum. Once I get beyond that, I start getting scratchy. I think at one point last year I had about 5, and I was certainly a bit, yeah. Yeah, and Delene's just saying she's doing jumbo men stuff, knitting forever. I know, right? It does take forever. It does. Oh God, But I have to admit, there is something satisfying about just doing, like, if you have, whipping this out. Like, I mean, I did 3 of these in quick succession. Doing stuff like that. It's like doing baby. I did a little baby cardigan just recently. When you do little things like that and you get them done, completed, and finished, you actually get a really nice feeling of, yes, I am a knitter. Whereas if you're doing lots of big stuff and it seems to take forever, you look at yourself and you go, oh my Lord, I'm not making any hide nor hair of anything, really. So I have to admit, that is actually quite good for getting your knitting mojo back, doing something small in the meantime, and then having the sense of completion and achievement. And then you can, gives you the shot in the arm to move on to the bigger stuff. Yeah, Margaret's saying jumbo stuff takes forever at times too. Totally agree. All right, I'm going to keep moving. I am going to get Yvonne is saying she's usually a one person, one project and gets them done much quicker. Generally, I'm there with you, Yvonne. I'm there with you. That's why I have purse knitting, because the purse knitting can last for years. I could have purse knitting on the go for the world's longest time. But yeah, I tend to be fairly monogamous with my projects. Otherwise I hate UFOs. I genuinely hate a UFO. And I have had them from time to time. And in fact, I think you saw like one of the ratio cowls was a UFO between lockdown 1 and lockdown 2. It was, yeah. So that, that got finished. But yeah, UFOs and me are not a thing. I don't generally like them. And what I will tend to do is if there's a UFO in the offing, I will actually, I think Ethan, isn't it Ethan who does the Finish It or Frog It? I'm with him on this. If it's not looking like it's going to get finished, you frog that, repurpose and move on. I'm all around that. Oh yeah, Patricia, yeah, pulse crochet blanket. Yeah, well, my scrappy blanket is a lot of pulse in there at the minute. Actually, this was just a rando that I found just before. I think that's going to make its way into the blanket. I know. It's all good. Anyway, I'm going to let you guys go. Make sure you have a great weekend. Have a great weekend. I know it's been all wet and cold again at the top end. It's not been too bad here. But yeah, get some good knitting going. If you don't feel like knitting socks and gloves and fingerless gloves, grab the Lothlorian. And don't forget the Just Do It. The Just Do It. If you've got a UFO floating around, just do it, because that's the theme this month in the Speakeasy. And show us your progress on that. You could win yourself something. That'd be pretty cool, right? It'd be amazing. Oh, Janet's knitting Gaia in the male jersey. Great knit, yeah. And the Gaia is just the noise. We love Gaia. We love it. Love, love, love. Anyway, I need to get moving. I will catch you guys again on Monday. I'll be here. You be there. Until then, have a great weekend. Take care.